In today's tutorial, we are going to go over how to do Atari Lynx Emulation within Retroarch using the Beetle Handy core. So the first thing you're going to need is Retroarch. If you don't already have it, head over to retroarch.com and click on the download tab. From here, scroll all the way down to the near bottom, click on Nightly Builds. Now this is a tutorial for Windows, so we're going to go ahead and click on Windows, x86-64, scroll all the way down to the bottom here and click on retroarch.7zip. Now, for whatever reason, you download this, extract it, try to run it, it doesn't work. Scroll back up to the middle here and download redistributable.7zip, extract that, run that, and you should be good to go. Now that Retroarch is downloaded, let's go ahead and get it extracted. Now, before running Retroarch for the first time, make sure you have this folder where you want it. I leave it on my desktop for demonstration purposes, but if you want this in a different folder, make sure to put it there, because the first time you run Retroarch, it will default all of its directories into itself. And if you end up moving it later, it will be looking for these directories in the old file location, and a lot of things will not work. So make sure you have it where you want it the first time to save yourself a headache. If you do end up moving it later, it's a very easy fix. I'm going to open up Retroarch real quick, close it down. So it created this retroarch.config file. So I'm just going to delete that, and that is how you would start over from scratch. But let's get to gaming, shall we? Open up Retroarch. Press F on your keyboard to go to full screen mode. From here, go to Online Updater, Core Updater, and we're just going down to the Atari section here, so nice and easy, and we're going to download Atari Lynx Beetle Handy. Now that that's downloaded, just press backspace on your keyboard twice, go back to the main menu, and there is one required file to get Lynx games up and running within Retroarch, so we're going to press F on the keyboard to minimize Retroarch once again. We're going to scroll up to the System folder, open that up. Now the file you will need is a Lynx boot image. So you could dump your own or you could use Google Food to find it. But once you source it, just go ahead and place it within your Retroarch system folder. Make sure it is named lynxboot.img. And once you have that placed, you're good to start loading games. So I'm just going to press F to go back to full screen mode. And now you can begin loading your games up. So load content. I have mine on the desktop once again for demonstration purposes. So going to my desktop, Atari Lynx games. And we're going to load up some Rampage because I really love that game. Atari Lynx Rampage running on Retroarch. The Atari Lynx is such an interesting handheld, but I really like it. There weren't a lot of games for it either, unfortunately, but ah, man. It had some really good gems to it. So yeah, that's pretty much it as far as getting Lynx games up and running is concerned. There's not a whole lot of setup required outside of the one BIOS file, and there's even not really a whole lot of core options available in Beetle Lynx. You could decide if you want to have automatic screen rotation on. If you don't, you could just press select to change it. I just go ahead and leave it on because there's no reason not to, so that pretty much covers it. Now, one thing to keep in mind when it comes to Atari Lynx Emulation is compatibility won't be perfect, but it is pretty dang good. Now, one last thing I want to show you before sending you off to happily play your Lynx games is how to make a playlist for your games so you don't have to use this content browser. So back on the main menu, click on Show Desktop Menu, press OK there. And now if you've already loaded up a Lynx game, it'll show you over on the right-hand side here if it can find that firmware file. So this is a great way to troubleshoot if your file is being detected properly or not. You can load up the desktop menu. If this is showing up in green, it means it's picking up fine. If it's red, it means it's not. So great way to troubleshoot. Over on the left-hand side here, right-click, New Playlist, and type in Atari, space, Lynx. And that gives you the Atari Lynx playlist entry, complete with a Lynx handheld. It looks pretty awesome. Now over here, right-click, Add Folder, scroll to where you have your Atari Lynx games stored. So for me, I have them on the desktop. Core, Beetle Lynx, Database, Atari Lynx, OK. And now all of your Lynx games that you have in that in your folder will show up right here as part of your new playlist. If you want to further pretty up this playlist, you can right-click, Download All Thumbnails, this playlist. Now for this to work, your games do need to be named a specific way. That's why I have like this whole region coding thing going on. And after it's done downloading, if your games are named correctly, it will pull up box arts. Now if your games aren't named right and it doesn't automatically download the thumbnails, or you just don't like the one that it does download, what I like to do is search for the game on GameFAQs, because there is a nice user uploaded media section here. And you can usually find some high quality box arts. So here is Rampage. Just going to go ahead and right click on this, save image as, save it to the desktop. And then go ahead and select Rampage from the playlist here, and then you can just drag the box art over to on top of it and it will replace it, or add it if it wasn't there in the first place. Now to get this place to show up in Retroarch, just close it down and start it back up. Now over on the left hand side of the screen we have a nice Lynx playlist, and all of our games are shown here with box arts over on the right. And then to run a game you just select it and click on run. But that's going to do it as far as AtariLynx is concerned in Retroarch. As always, thank you so much for watching this tutorial. I hope it helps you out getting your AtariLynx games up and running. But thank you so much everybody for watching. I can't express enough gratitude for how much you all help support this channel. Thank you again so very much. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that sub button, that dislike button, just depending how much you like today's tutorial. And if you'd like to further help support the channel, you can always check out that Patreon link in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, or click on that join button here on YouTube. I am just grateful for your consideration, and for everyone who has already done so, thank you so incredibly much. You are amazingly generous, and you really help keep this going. You are my friggin' champions. But until next time, stay awesome, and we will see you all back next video.